Let's switch gears and let's talk about Ron Wayne. I read an article in the LA Times when you guys got started, and initially because you were younger in your 20s, the industry may not take you seriously. So you bought somebody who was Ron Way experienced. I think he was an Atari guy, and you made him a 10% owner initially, and you were 45. Steve was 45, and 12 days later, Ron comes back, and he sells off his 10%, saying, "I want to sell it back to you for $800. That 10% today would be worth $22 billion if he was still there." What happened with Ron Wayne? What was that story about?
I don't remember if 12 days is right, but Steve came to me at one point and he said, okay, I finally, Hewlett-Packard had turned me down, and we're going to start this company to make these little $20 PC boards and sell them for 40. And he came to me and he said, look, there's this guy, he kind of respected Ron's thinking. Ron was one of these arch conservatives reading all the conservative books of the time, Today he'd be considered a wacko. But it makes him sound very authoritative, and he had so much experience in companies and having stock in some companies and getting screwed by the executives and knowing how these things work. And he attracted Steve Jobs. So Steve said, well, we can hire him, and he'll do a manual for us. He's good at doing manuals. He sat down to a typewriter and typed out our partnership agreement, all the legal phrases and words, and I mean, I don't know how a person knows how to do that. He was incredibly talented. He drew the sketch, an etching by hand of Newton under the apple tree for the cover of our first Apple I manual, and he was great. I know he was with us more than 12 days though. And so Steve proposed that Ron would have 10%, so that if Steve and I disagreed about something, Ron could resolve it. And I met Ron and was, wow, so impressed. He knew all these different things, and he referred me to a bunch of books, and when I got home, they were kind of trash to me. None dare call it treason and that kind of stuff. But I really respected his ability to think and to resolve things the right way. So that was his purpose. And then what happened was we got this order out of thin air to build computer boards with parts on them and sell them for $500 each, a $50,000 order. And like I said, my salary, $25,000. This was scary stuff, because now we're in big business, and I don't want to make Hewlett-Packard think I'm doing something behind their backs. Well, what happened was we'd get the parts on 30 days credit, build them in 10 days, as I said, deliver them to the store. And Ron Wayne figured out that what if something goes bad and we don't get paid? Then who owes the money on the parts? Well, it turns out that Steve Jobs had zero bank account. I had zero bank account, no savings account, no nothing. None of us had any wealthy friends. So Ron Wayne, all of his money would be at stake. So he was taking the 100% of the financial risk for 10% of the company, and it was too flaky, and he sold out. He didn't have a vision. There was a big picture, but it was so early with just the Apple I. It was hard to see where Apple would go. The Apple II really changed the story, and that came about 3 months later.
So it takes a little bit of
But I think Ron was with us for a few months.
He was with you for a few months.
Yeah.
So what was his reason for quitting outside of that? Did he have outside influence that said these guys may get sued, these guys may be out of business, these guys may have this?
I never heard a reason for Ron quitting. Steve just told me he wanted to sell out.
And he walked away from it.
I'm guessing his reasoning would have been good, and he walked away from it, yeah, and very happily. And so
is he an Apple fan? I guess that'd be a question. Every time he looks at Apple, that's $22 billion right there.
I actually talk to him now and then, and he's a little bit on the poor side, so he can't always afford Apple stuff.
Yeah, that's actually what it said in the article.
Yeah,
it said in the article he now collects stamps and sells coins to supplement his Social Security income. And you hear a story like that, you feel bad because the opportunity was so. But that's so common in other industries as well. People hear a story, they come in, they want to be part of it. Last minute, they get afraid, and they want to walk away from it.